And that was Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coriel, author of 22 books, Marine Corps veteran, founder of the Second Amendment March, proud father of 7, grandfather to 19 and counting, and as a special bonus, I'm also madly in love with my own wife. My priorities in life are God, family, and country in that order, and I hereby promise to never compromise in my convictions. I may go broke, but I'll never go woke. And joining me today is my faithful co-host, Sara Coriel. Sara the woman, Sara the legend.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Well, it's true.
That's scary. Yeah,
you are a legend in my own mind.
Thank you for that.
Well, and I'm the only mind that matters to me.
Thank you.
How have you been, Sara?
Good.
I'm supposed to know that, aren't I? But the listeners don't know. So, what is tweaking your tush today? Let me put it a different way.
Thank you.
Before you hit me. What is aching like a splinter on your mind?
Oh, I'm excited. Easter's coming up, and that means like twice a week services in Grand Rapids. I'm just excited about this.
You're excited about church?
Yeah, Holy Week. It's great.
You know, probably most people probably aren't that excited.
I don't know. This is gonna be great.
Oh, go to church every single day. That sounds wonderful.
It's like a camp out, except you don't have to actually leave the house.
Well, I'm excited. I just had a concealed carry class today. Mm-hmm. And we have been out on the gun range in the cold since November. So November, December, January, February, March, April, almost 6 months of cold.
It was a long winter.
It was a long winter. But finally, I went out there today, spent 3 hours on the range with, 10 people, and I was almost overheated.
Wow.
It was grand and glorious. It was like 60 degrees out there. And I thought, finally, spring is here.
It's going to sound cold in a couple months.
I don't care. It's not cold now.
That's right.
Are you ready to eat that groundhog? Not to change the subject.
Yeah.
I have one picked out for you already. I've been watching them.
Oh, they're so cute.
As soon as I get a clean shot at him, he won't be cute anymore.
Actually, I've been reading about healthy ways to feed your dogs because I got one dog. She's a little older and getting like dog warts or little bumps or something on her face. And I'm just worried about her getting cancer. And they keep complaining about her teeth. And I don't want my dog to, showing all these signs of. Anyways, so I was reading if there was a better way to feed my dog because like you can feed your kids better and they do better. So why can't you feed your dog better and does better? One of the things I read was that you need to feed them like organs that are raw.
Raw
organs. So I am a little bit excited for you to start killing things like, groundhog because I want the little organs to feed the little dogs. Isn't that horrible?
How many wives say that to their husbands?
Right?
I'm really excited about feeding raw organs to the dogs today. You're not going to feed raw organs to the rest of the family, though, right?
No.
Oh, please.
It's lentils and vegetables for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so if I want meat in my diet, it's going to be raw organs, raw groundhog guts. All right. That reminds me of Granny.
Can you make bacon out of groundhog? That would just really make you happy.
Not out of the organs. No. It reminds me of Beverly Hillbillies with Granny Clampett, right? She used to feed the Drysdales a neighbor's possum innard. Which basically.
But it's the neighbors?
Yeah, possum guts.
Why did she feed it to the neighbors?
Oh, just
was
because,
she trying to be nice, or was she trying to insult
it's just. Them? I mean, I think we should feed them to our neighbors too.
Have you seen a possum recently?
Not recently.
They are not something that looks enticing.
But they're so cute.
No.
In kind of a spooky, alien kind of a way. I know. Okay, enough of the innards and guts stuff. But
what though? They have all these cute little girl stories where there's mice in them, and like Cinderella, she's got all her little mice friends. But would you believe your daughter, her first introduction to mice was a mouse running across the floor in the living room, not Cinderella. She does not like mice. She has no idea why they're cute in all these little girl
Well,
stories.
she's a sensible girl.
Raccoons, and she's like,
She's a
"Ooh,
realist.
I'm getting scary. Why are they
That's
supposed
right.
to be cute? They're not cute."
All right.
That
Well,
is-
I'll try and catch some mice and some groundhogs, and we'll. But you're going to eat the meat on the show. We've already determined that.
We did.
Yes,
I don't
yes, we
recall
did.
agreeing to anything.
I have it. It's on
I
recording.
didn't agree to anything.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe you won't even know that you're eating it.
Just a little bit of my coffee.
Whatever. All right. All right, Sarah, what's on the show today before we get too far into
Yes,
the
sir.
weeds
Here we
here?
go. Weeds, yes. Well, today we are talking to fellow author turned musician Kenn Blanchard, aka Black Man with a Gun. Then, in the shootingclasses.com self-defense report, we'll be speaking with firearms instructor Deron Boring about flash mobs and riots in our shootingclasses.com self-defense report.
Yeah, that's going to be good stuff. Kenn Blanchard, awesome.
That's a
Awesome
great
guy.
interview.
And boy, does he have a voice. He has the perfect radio voice. And of course, Deron is from Ohio, an attorney. He does a really good analysis in segment 3, so should be a good thing. But before we get too far into the show, let's thank our sponsors: United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, and Apple Tree Media. All right, Sarah, start us out with the news. You've got something special for us today here. Go ahead.
Yes, you found something good here. It is from the Office of the Attorney General in Washington, D.C.
That's the big kahuna.
The big one, yeah.
Pam Bondi, is
And
that,
guess what?
her name?
The date is on this one, April 8th of this year.
That's right. It's
Most
brand
excellent.
spanking new.
Memorandum for all department employees. So, attention, folks. From the Attorney General. Subject, Second Amendment Enforcement Task Force. Okay, what does that mean? All right, but listen. For too long, the Second Amendment, which establishes the fundamental individual right of Americans to keep and bear arms, has been treated as a second-class right. No more. It is the policy of this Department of Justice to use its full might to protect the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. President Trump has made protecting the Second Amendment rights a priority for this administration. As he explained, the Second Amendment is an indispensable safeguard of security and liberty because it is foundational to maintaining all other rights held by Americans. Executive Order 14206, Protecting Second Amendment Rights. To that end, President Trump has directed me to propose a plan of action designed to protect the Second Amendment rights of all Americans. As one element of a comprehensive plan of action that I am proposing to the President, I am hereby creating a Second Amendment Enforcement Task Force. This task force will continue the department's ongoing work to implement Executive Order 14206 and protect the fundamental rights secured by the Second Amendment. The task force is principally charged with developing and executing strategies to use litigation and policy to advance, protect, and promote compliance with the Second Amendment. I will serve as the chair of the task force, and the Associate Attorney General will serve as the vice chair. The task force will be further composed of representatives from my personal staff, the Office of the Deputy Attorney General, the Office of the Associate Attorney General, the Office of the Solicitor General, the Civil Division, the Civil Rights Division, the Criminal Division, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and any other components or representatives that I may from time to time designate to assist in the task force's labors.
This is monumental. I know it's just a memo, but it's a memo of what they're saying they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And, the last attorney general, when it comes to the Second Amendment, their job was to find new creative ways to
Undercut it.
restrict the Second Amendment. I'm really starting to get giddy about Donald Trump. I really am. Because he doesn't have to do this. I mean, strictly from a political viewpoint, he doesn't have to do this. He's not going to run for president again. And, most presidents, even the conservative ones, the pro-gun ones, they kind of give the Second Amendment lip service and say, well, okay, I won't further restrict any of your Second Amendment rights. But that's not what this memo says. This memo says, hey, we're forming a task force to investigate who is restricting your rights, and through litigation, figure out how we can stop them from restricting your rights. Mm-hmm. So if I was like maybe the governor of California or the attorney general of Michigan or any blue state that is trying to restrict Second Amendment rights, I'd be thinking, hey, I might end up in court here. And I think that's a great thing. So I'm excited about this. I mean, they're going to take the Bruin case and build on that, and this could be good. I'm hopeful that in the next 2 years we can get national reciprocity. I would really love that, but time will tell. And folks, we will keep you all posted on that. But now it's time for our Home Defense Show Hero of the Week. Sara, you were excited about this one. Go ahead, lay it on us.
All right. Heroic 16-year-old saves Cleveland family from burning home. Cleveland firefighters are praising a 16-year-old's heroism after he jumped into action to save a family from a burning house Friday morning. The fire started around 11 a.m. near West 140th Street and Sacramento Avenue in Cleveland. Tyler Soden, 16, saw smoke and heard cries for help from a neighboring home. Without hesitation, he grabbed a ladder from his house, and video from the scene shows him running toward the flames. He positioned the ladder against the home, where a mother holding her 10-month-old and 7-year-old sat on a porch roof trying to escape. I helped the babies down the house, helped the mother down the house, Tyler said. Adding to the heroic acts of the day, 2 Cleveland police officers saw the flames while on their lunch break and rescued an elderly man and his dog from a neighboring home that was also affected by the fire. Not long after, Cleveland firefighters arrived to find the family out safely, including the young hero himself. Everybody working over here has been through the training academy. They're all well equipped. But for that young man to come and do what he did, it's outstanding, said the Cleveland Division Fire Public Information Officer Lieutenant Mike Norman. Tyler's stepdad, Matt Stamber, was emotional when he heard the news. Oh, because just looking at the fire, he was just facing danger. He didn't care. He put their lives before his own, Stamber said. Norman says there may be a future for the brave 16-year-old. Sign-ups are open for Cleveland Fire. He's too young at this time, but hopefully in a couple years we'll bring him on board, Norman said. The teen's stepdad said the world would be better if more people were like Tyler. I am so proud of this kid, Stamber said. The 4 residents of the home, including a 12-year-old who jumped from the back of the house, were all treated at Metro Health and are all doing okay. The people in the neighboring home affected by the fire are also okay. The Cleveland Division of Fire mentioned possibly honoring Tyler for his actions. The cause of the fire remains under investigation.
This is encouraging for me. I mean, because...
Brave kid.
Yeah, well, it's not just that he's a brave kid. He was. It's like he just sprang into action, didn't even think about, hey, I might die here. He just did the right thing. He cared about people enough to just go get that ladder, get up on that burning roof and do it. It reminds me of when I was a kid. Okay. And you're talking like 50 plus years ago. And during that time, the 1960s, when I grew up, you ask a kid what he wanted to be when he grew up. It was like, I want to be well, they didn't call them firefighters. They were firemen.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a soldier. I want to be an astronaut. Heroic things, big things. Now you ask a kid, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to be a YouTube star, or I want to, have 5 million followers on Facebook or whatever kids are into right now. This is a big difference. And I find this encouraging because we hear so much crap about the upcoming generation, but I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about young kids coming up. And I think we need to focus on the good, foster it, perpetuate it, and try and draw
that out.
Draw it out. This kid should be called a hero. He should be praised. He should get an award.
What you praise and look at and focus and draw attention to, you're going to get more of that because people will emulate what they're looking at. So if you draw attention to kids who are brave
Yeah.
and good and responsible, then, but if you draw attention to, kids who are struggling with depression and all that sort of, I mean, not that that's not a real problem. It's just, if you focus on it,
Right.
then you're just going to get more depression.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, so our home defense show hero of the week is 16-year-old, what's his name?
Tyler.
16-year-old Tyler from Cleveland, Ohio. Good job,
Great
Tyler.
job. Keep it up.
All
Well, hopefully
right.
there won't be more fires in your neighborhood, but keep
right.
up the bravery.
All right. Good stuff. Sarah, what's coming up next?
Next, we are talking to fellow author turned musician Kenn Blanchard, aka Black Man with a Gun. Then, in the shootingclasses.com self-defense report, we'll be speaking with firearms instructor Deron Boring about flash mobs and riots. In our shootingclasses.com self-defense report.
All right. All good stuff coming up. Kenn Blanchard, he wrote the book Black Man with a Gun. Now he's Black Man with the Blues. You just wait till you hear this guy. In the meantime, God bless and stay safe, because we will be right back. And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show. Folks, we live in a dangerous world, and I want you to be able to protect and defend the ones you love. And that's why I have this show. It's my way of empowering you to accomplish one of your primary jobs in life. You are a protector and a defender. All right, listeners, before we get too far into the show, don't forget to check out our sponsors: United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, and Apple Tree Media. Without our sponsors, this show wouldn't be on the air, so we thank you all. All right, and now I want to welcome an old friend to the show. Not that he's old, just that we've been friends for a long time. He's a fellow author turned musician, Kenn Blanchard, a.k.a. Black Man with a Gun. Reverend Kenn Blanchard, welcome to the Home Defense Show again.
Brother Skip, man, thanks for letting me be on the show.
Hey, no problem. I just wish your voice didn't sound better than mine, but I guess, what are you going to do? I mean, your voice sounds better. You're more handsome than I am. It's
Man.
like all I have is talent.
That'll get you far, my brother. That'll get you far.
But I could use a little more humility. All right. Well, Ken, what's been going on in your life lately? Just get us caught up here real quick.
Well, after almost 3 decades of gun rights activism, kind of retired. And right when we retired, my wife and I found out that she had a brain tumor. So it took us back where we had to get her an operation. And we got pretty good doctors here in the D.C. area, but I don't think they did a good job on her. And it kind of left her in a bad way. So I had to become a caregiver. And that's been going on for the last 4 years. It's been probably the toughest thing I've ever done and still doing. And in that whole mess, I found peace in playing the guitar. And I've been dragging the guitar around my whole life, but I never really played it. It just was like decoration. Something I wanted to do. I even wanted to be a singer, but I didn't take any classes or join any groups or any of that stuff. So during this COVID era where everybody was locked down, I started tinkering on my guitar. And thanks to YouTube University, I mean, I had so much stuff from trying to learn. I mean, from way back in the day with the floppy plastic records to cassette tapes and CDs and videos about guitar playing. I finally pulled all the stuff out that I could still use and tried to catch up. And now it's my thing. It gives me peace. And I had to write a little essay about it in my little book called Finding Joy in the Blues. The church that I work with, I'm an assistant pastor at a Baptist church here in Maryland. And they were like, well, we have a bass player, we have a piano player. The drummer doesn't mind, you can play guitar. And I thought, well, you guys are musicians on a full time, so I'm just a new guy. But that helped me get an ear. And I've been playing for the last 4 years. In the very last few months, well, about a year now, I decided I'm going to be a pro because who knows? I don't have much time left. I'm old.
Actually, I think you're younger than I am, Ken. So
Some hard miles in there, though.
yeah, well, it's not the years, it's the miles, and actually, it's both.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think we've both had some rough miles. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
on my
yeah.
third marriage, and you're caregiver to your wife now. This book that you have, Finding Joy in the Blues, a personal journey, that intrigues me. Yeah, actually, the blues in general, it just intrigues me because it just seems like, all this new stuff that's out there.
Mm,
I catch my 19-year-old son listening to like rap and
hmm.
screamo and stuff like that, and it's like, I just want to slap him, because it's like, this isn't even music. Why are you listening to this? And he'll brag it up, and I say, sorry, not a fan, just not a fan. Why are you a fan of the blues?
It starts with my parents back in the 60s when they wanted to get family like, when they wanted to have good times with their folks. They had worked a long week. They worked over 40 hours a week. They were blue collar, lower middle class. We were kind of poor. They would put the blues on, and then folks would come over, and they would laugh all night long. And that music stuck in my head when I became a grown up myself, and I wanted to think about home. I remembered those crazy old songs that my dad was playing, and then as the blues touched me, I thought, this stuff isn't hard. It's got to be really, really easy to play. And then I learned the whole genius of it, of the origins and how everything grew from that. How there's a story behind it, and that just intrigued me to no end. That it was connected to my history. That we had people who took this really simple form and used it in gospel, used it in jazz, used it in almost every form of music we play. And it's there, but folks don't know it. So as I started learning the guitar, it made me want to listen to rock because then I learned in this last 3 or 4 years how many of the old glam rock guys and the groups that I didn't listen to as a teen or a young adult were influenced by the blues. I love Led Zeppelin now, for example. I love Rolling Stones. I didn't pay attention to any of those cats before, but now my music genre has expanded, and then it went over to country, which it was like a joke when I was in the Marine Corps. We used to say, "Well, you don't know anything about this stuff," and I thought, "I'm not listening to that music. That music is my music now." So the thing has grown me as a person, where the whole international piece of music is me now. Now I understand almost where all that stuff comes from, and it's a really cool thing.
It seems to me, when you listen to the blues, and I've gone on YouTube,
Mm,
and I've listened to a lot of your music, and it's like the blues, it's different than a lot of the stuff out there because it's almost has it has a heartbeat.
mm,
It's cathartic,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, did you experience any of that when you compose a song, when you're performing? What does it feel like?
That's the coolest part. It takes me away from my situation. It puts
Ah,
it puts me in the groove. When I was going through the heaviest of it, when they told me my wife was going to die and she had so many months to live, and when you're a pastor, you soon find out that not everybody's prepared to give you solace. They don't know the
mhm.
right words to say. So, being a person in church, I expected to have more people who knew stuff to help me than they were. So I went to a therapist, and that didn't work. Went to another therapist, that didn't work. And finally, one therapist said, you need to do something with your hands, something tactile that will help you in your memory, help you focus on something. And I said, like guitar? And she said, oh, yeah, that's perfect. So I found out that in playing the blues, even though I wasn't really good at it yet, I learned about the rhythm. Just keeping that rhythm is the same as doing almost like a mantra or a chant. How it can like you can just hit one string, do a John Lee Hooker, and you're just going doom, 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 and then after a while, that one string becomes rote to you where you doesn't have to think, and then you'll put another string together, And before you know it, you're going, da-dum, dum, dum, da-dum, dum, dum, da-dum. And it feels like your own heart. And that thing that soothes you right out. And in about 2 or 3 minutes, you're fine. You forgot, oh yeah, I was in bad way a minute ago, but something just happened in this last few minutes. And that just made me want to do it again and again and again. It was the best medicine that didn't cost anything.
So, so when you're playing the blues, does it take you out of yourself or does it take you inside yourself or both?
It settles me. And then I found out that if I sang, which was a whole nother thing by itself, trying to do the two together would make me forget everything. That was a full boat. You had to concentrate. You had to play. You wanted it to sound close to the original. And if you got anywhere close, there was such a joy of, it's like a small time goal, trying to reach a goal every day, trying to fix something. You need a goal to reach at least once a day, that I've accomplished something, and the music did that for me.
So you take a vacation from all the angst that's inside you, maybe recenter yourself.
Yep.
But what do you do if you're in a situation like me? I mean, here I am. I'm a white boy. I can't sing. I can't dance. I can't even tap my foot without getting confused. I mean, can a guy like me play the blues? Is there any hope?
Absolutely, you can. There are so many instruments that you can tap with, hit with, bang with. Right now, I'd love to be able to play the harmonica as well. There are, all you have to do is just be with somebody who's doing it, and you will find that you have a talent. There's a drummer inside you. There's a guitarist inside you. There might even be what we call it, a wind instrument inside you. You just don't know until you get into that thing. Even piano, as difficult as that seems, it starts off with just knowing a few keys. You have to just start to do it.
Yeah.
And it will change your life. Music is weird. I remember one time I was walking on the streets in Manila in the Philippines, and it was a bad time. I was there on a anti-terrorism thing. I was protecting somebody. I used to do that for a living. And I was feeling pretty lonely. I was hoping I wasn't going to get executed while I was walking the streets to catch a breath of air. And I heard jazz in the background. And I thought, where is that coming from in this dirty street? So I decided to turn around and started listening for the sound. And as I got closer to the restaurant, there was a full-piece jazz orchestra in this restaurant playing Duke Ellington's music. And these guys, you would never think in a million years they were playing jazz, but they were playing it excellently. And I walked in there. I was the only person in the restaurant. And I said, who are you guys? And they didn't understand a word I was saying. But the music was from here. And I said, anybody know A Train? And they lit up. And they all played Duke Ellington's A Train. And I thought, this right here is better than language. So no matter who you are, you can play something.
Well, I've heard that music is the universal language.
Absolutely.
Transcends cultures and all of that. Now, tell me more about your book. You know, what kind of stuff do you have in there?
It's not a long read. It stemmed from the blog that I was trying to keep notes. And the first part just kind of talks about the struggle, what happened, how I got here. And then I remember before all this happened, I wanted to know what gives you joy. What's the definition for joy? And I had talked to a rabbi, a friend of mine, and we got into a really good conversation about the Hebrew lessons of joy and where it is in the Talmud and the charismatic teachings of the Jewish faith, because again, that all backs up to the Old Testament. And I was just kind of pulling the stuff out. And then I found out about a deeper understanding about what joy says in the Bible itself. And I thought, let me write this down. So as I combined the two, I thought, you know what? This is a history. This is a journal. This is an essay. And I'm just going to tell this short little story, which became several stories of how this thing happened for me over the last 3 years. You'll find in the book a little bit about the joy conversation I had with the rabbi. You'll hear about the history of the blues, not a long one, but it's in there. There's some themes, there's some influences, there are the exchange that happens. And then in the latter parts of the book, I'm talking about the stories that happened to me, like my first big paid gig. I got a chance to go to Wisconsin and play before a biker rally. And that was a bomb. That was the greatest thing I've done in a long time. Yeah, 3 nights I played for these cats, and they loved it.
Did they pay you in cheese or did they give you cash?
It was cash, thank goodness.
Oh, good. I love their cheese curds.
First time I ever had that was there.
Really?
Yes. They said,
Oh,
you got to try these, and I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, it's our thing. And I was like, oh my God.
Have you ever had deep fried cheese curds?
I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
they're fantastic. You know.
It's better with beer.
Well, everything's better with beer, isn't it? All right. So we've got a a Black Baptist pastor talking to a rabbi, a Jewish rabbi,
Yeah, man.
about the blues. That's precious. That is just precious.
I have the best conversations with Jewish rabbis. They are just like Christians. Their synagogues are under the gun as far as getting people to come to worship. They have the same problems with retention and folks not believing in tradition anymore. And we are a lot more alike than we are apart, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Your wife. Do you ever play for her? What does she think about all this blues stuff?
That's the funny part. When I was doing my gun rights advocacy, sometimes she would go, "Well, that's really political what you're doing, and I don't know if you should be doing that. You could jeopardize your job even more than you already have." And I thought, yeah, I know. So if I went on a trip or did something, she would go, "How did it go?" And go, "At least you're home safe, and I hope they appreciated what you sacrificed." Blah blah blah. It was like not really supportive. This thing, I have a basement studio. Used to be a storage room, and I painted my wall green like the weathermen so I could put green screen stuff up. And I have a ball down here. And over time, the stuff that I had from podcasting became the same things I used to record with and play. Now she hollers, "I can't hear you down there. Crank it up." I have never had this much support in my life.
That's fantastic. That is a great story. I love that. That one thing, I mean, when it can make your marriage better, that's worth doing.
I have never had this much support over this. She made jokes about everything that I did. So I thought, all right, here we go. I'm gonna play it really low because my ego is fragile right now. I'm already going through a whole bunch of stuff, right? And when she yelled downstairs, I mean, she's from New York, so she yells all the time. Now that she's well, but she said, "I can't hear you." And now I send her links when I do a YouTube video. I'll send her the link and I go, "Here you go. This is what I did today." She's, "Oh, that was beautiful." Man, that's like worth money to me. I don't have to go I don't have to go anywhere. If I get her thumbs up or smile or make her tear up, I'm done. It's like, yes, I'm all right today.
I have the same thing with my wife. Men and women, they're so different, but it's like my wife has been tolerating me for a very long time.
Yeah, man.
I'll go out and she doesn't understand why I like to go out deer hunting and things like that.
Yep.
She doesn't understand the Second Amendment stuff.
Yep. Oh, we got the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, she supports me, in a tolerable kind of a way.
Exactly.
But then about 3 months ago, I asked her to be my co-host on the Home Defense Show. And it's added a whole new element to the show because she'll be on like the first 15 minutes.
Nice.
And it's like she adds this feminine touch and it's more human somehow because she has a really nice personality and everybody loves her. And it's like now my listeners, they tolerate me, but she's the star of the show.
That's
and
good,
I'm
man.
okay with that because
Yeah,
I enjoy being on the show with my wife.
Yeah, that's cool right there.
Does your wife sing?
No, well, she's up there singing now, but there's a, but there's like for last night, for example. Sometimes being in a caregiver is not cool to me. I mean, it's I know I love her, but I mean, this our 34th year of marriage. I've put her through hell more than one time. And I don't say I love you enough, and I'm not all that mushy as much as I should be. But last night I took off the gloves and I thought, let me just try to sing a song that I could say something cool, right? So I did a Billy Joel song and put her pictures in the background, and I put that to kind of like share the story of us. And she was asleep by the time I finished it, but she got it in the morning and she was really, really happy. And that made me really, really happy. So it's She's Got Away by Billy Joel.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I love that one.
So when I woke up this morning and I saw that text, that was beautiful. Thanks, babe. And I thought I did what I was supposed to do.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, I just put it up last night.
So we're about out of time, Ken, but I want people to be able to hear your music. Where can people go?
If you go on YouTube, look for Rev Kenn Blanchard, RevKenNBlanchard, Rev Kenn Blanchard. And then you'll see if you have the wide view of a desktop, you'll see the whole screen where it shows the cover of the book. But if it's the short view, you'll just see me finding joy in the blues.
All right. And they can go on Amazon.com to get that.
Yes.
I think you've got it on paperback and Kindle. Is that correct?
Yep. And the Kindle's free, I believe, still.
Ooh, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Anything free is worth saving up for. All right. Hey, Ken. Hey, we wish you all the best, and I want all the listeners to go out there and just go on Amazon.com, Finding Joy in the Blues, A Personal Journey by Reverend Kenn Blanchard. Ken, thank you very, very much for being on the Home Defense Show and for sharing your journey with us. Appreciate it.
Man, thank you for just being my friend for all this time. Love you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. I love you too, Ken. All right. This is Skip Coriel on Home Defense Show. Coming up next, we'll have the shootingclasses.com self-defense report where we get some expert advice on the details of self-defense. But during the break, I want you to log into rumble.com and search on the Home Defense Show. I've posted a series of entertaining and educational videos there just for you. Check them out and don't forget to like, share, and follow. God bless and stay safe, because we will be right back. And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coriel. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Apple Tree Media, and Center Shot Indoor Gun Range for all your training and equipment needs. And now it's time for our weekly self-defense report, sponsored by shootingclasses.com. And today we're speaking with self-defense instructor Deron Boring from the great state of Ohio. Deron, thanks for coming back on the Home Defense Show today.
Thanks. I always love being here. This is fun. Thank you.
Well, I like it too. Hey, I keep asking you back, so you're doing something right, Deron. All right. We've got kind of a wild, bizarre action adventure type of a story tonight. I'll give you the headline here. 15-year-old boy shot during teen takeover in Streeterville. That's in Chicago. Lots of wild happening stuff in Chicago these days. Here we go. A 15-year-old boy was wounded in a shooting, and more than a dozen people were arrested as hundreds of teens descended on the Streeterville neighborhood Friday night. According to the Chicago PD, officers were on patrol in the area when shots were fired around 9:41 p.m. Officers saw a large group taking off from the scene and found the teen with a graze wound to his leg. The teen was transported to an area hospital by Chicago Fire Department, where he was reportedly in good condition. Chaos unfolded as hundreds of teens were running in the street near North Columbus Drive. Videos taken on the ground and from residents in nearby apartment buildings show people blocking traffic, fighting in the roadway, and throwing objects, including glass bottles. At one point, at least one person was observed using a stun gun in the middle of a fight on Columbus Drive. Quote, "These are inherently dangerous events," These are not silly kids making silly decisions. These are potentially life-threatening situations. Hopkins, who serves as the chairman for the Committee on Public Safety, said 14 arrests were made during the incident and an additional 6 juveniles were taken into custody for curfew violations. At least 3 of the arrests were for battery of a peace officer. Quote, these were teenagers punching and striking police officers. The officer who injured his hand did so while trying to break up a fight between teenagers, and he was struck and fell to the ground. We think he cut his hand on glass or an object that was on the ground, Hopkins said. While the majority of the officers assigned to the area were from the 18th District, calls went out for assistance from citywide tactical teams. The officers were in full force, he said. They were doing their job. They were doing a really good job. But I mean, these kids were just entirely defiant, and that's what they were. These were kids. Police sources told WGN-TV at least 10 of the 14 people arrested were under 18 years old, and that 3 replica firearms were recovered during a nearly 4-hour event. Sources also said a majority of the arrests were for reckless conduct. A person was also stabbed during the large gathering, Hopkins said. According to Chicago PD, an 18-year-old man was in a store on the 100th block of North State Street just before 9:30 p.m. when an argument turned physical. The victim was reportedly stabbed in the back, and the suspects took off from that scene. Wow. Quote, I personally witnessed teenagers go in there in large groups and just walk out with armloads of merchandise that they didn't pay for, Hopkins said. Some of these teenagers are very violent when you confront them, and the security guard didn't feel a bag of Cheetos was worth getting stabbed, so he just let it happen. 7-Eleven lost a lot of money last night. Area residents told WGN-TV they were frustrated. I am shocked, and I think a lot of people are, given that these things are happening in March. In general, these things happen in the summer months. But the fact that it's happening earlier this year, I think, is concerning a lot of residents. All right, that's the gist of it. This sounds like some pretty serious stuff, Deron. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a couple of things, and I thought there was some good insight from one of the comments in the article that they made the point about the security guard not wanting to get stabbed over a bag of Cheetos. And I guess my first thought in hearing this is if you're in a situation like that and you see this happening, for crying out loud, don't get involved in the middle of something for a property crime. Walk away. And, it's in thinking how to handle this. I just want to get away. I don't want to be in the middle of it. I don't want to see it. Not worth getting involved in. And just try and get away before you get yourself into an altercation of any sort there.
Well, but you're a security guard and you're making minimum wage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be worth something, right?
Oh, I definitely don't get paid enough. And even law enforcement getting involved in that when it's, probably 50 to 1, 50 to 2, you question how much these people get paid and what is it actually worth, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, we have been seeing a lot of this happening. Really, I guess it started, back in when was Ferguson? All the George Floyd stuff happening back then. It's going on 10 years. This stuff has been happening, and it just seems to be escalating. I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy about the future of our big cities.
It doesn't give me much incentive to go anywhere. I'm a country boy at heart, but it does make me think. And when I do go out places, it makes me pay attention to crowds gathering and what's going on with those crowds. And if it starts looking bad, turn around and go the other way. Your gut is an amazing teller of what you're looking at. And, and I guess even I think about it, tell kids, don't just stand there and videotape it with your phone. If you see a group of kids starting to push and fight and break into things, you can make a social media video and post about it or get the heck away. And I think my advice on something like this is get far away, because what, is dangerous and what is violent isn't worth getting involved in the middle of. And why on earth would you want to have to respond to that in any way, I guess is what my question is.
Well, I guess my perspective is situation like this where you've got 50 to 100 out of control teenagers. Okay. And these are just because someone's a quote unquote kid doesn't mean they can't kill you. I mean, you're talking about there are a lot of 15, 16-year-olds. They have their man-sized bodies now, but they're not wise enough to discern, what is smart
Mhm.
anymore. I mean, the dumbest things I ever did was when I was a teenager. Okay.
I'm with you. My wife frequently says when she hears stories about my teen years that it's a miracle that I still have all 10 fingers, all 10 toes, and four
Yeah.
appendages. I mean, it's true, and I think that's a lesson for all of us that don't be afraid to live life, but pay attention. And if you're out, in a mall or in a shopping center or downtown wherever, if you see a large group of people gathering, you may want to go the other direction rather than end up in the middle of that group.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's really it's a no-win situation because let's say, you decide you're going to proceed and then you get swamped. And I've seen videos of this where people who are
Mhm.
rioting or whatever, they get on top of your car, they're jumping on the car, they smash out the windows, they're trying to pull you out. And, at that point, it's like, okay, you can make an argument, I'm legally availed the use of deadly force. But even if you do that, you shoot one guy and you got 50 guys that are angry now, and then you still have to face the political ramifications of what's going on.
Absolutely. And even that you pull a gun and you don't use it, how fast you get thwacked over the head by somebody else behind you, and all of a sudden what was yours is now the group's.
Yeah,
Uh, Again, and by no means am I saying self-defense isn't an option in a situation like that, and not to cower, but have the mental forethought, I guess, to never end up in that situation in the first place. Because at the point that you have to defend yourself in a situation like that, in my opinion, you failed.
yeah,
Because again, I'm not going to say it's easy to avoid this stuff, but if it looks out of sorts and it's somewhere that you all of a sudden think, this is something I should be watching, maybe you should be watching it going in the opposite direction.
yeah. Well, you mentioned that you're a country boy. I am the same way. I was born and raised in the country, rural Michigan, been here my whole life. And it's like, okay, yeah, I have to visit the city. But sometimes I even have to drive through Chicago. Okay.
Mhm.
But when I'm driving through Chicago, I listen to the news before I get there. And if there is, some type of civil unrest, most of the time it's on the news. And then you can just, okay, I'm going to take the bypass. I'm going to go around it.
And I mean, for crying out loud, it happened here in, I'm in northeastern Ohio, and it happened in Cleveland, I don't know, a month or two ago. They did a takeover in the middle of one of the main highway thoroughfares through Cleveland. They stopped the entire highway, and it was so bad to the point that the police officers were afraid to respond for a while. I mean, and that's terrifying if you're on a highway and you're stuck in the middle of that. Um, I
With your family.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to say be afraid to live life, but just choose wisely. And I think my last appearance on here, I quoted John Farnham: "Don't go stupid places, do stupid things at stupid times with stupid people."
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to invoke Farnham twice in a row, but at some point, I find myself even choosing now. We could go shopping at place A or place B. I don't want to risk place B, so we'll choose somewhere else. And is it further out of my way? Yes, but why risk it in the middle of something?
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's not a whole lot you can do. How do you de-escalate 100 screaming teenagers?
Mhm.
It's not an option. They're out of control. They're like in a frenzy,
Mhm.
and they're going to keep going until they burn themselves out. So yeah, I agree with you. Avoidance is the best way. Some forethought, some planning, and
Mhm.
hey, don't go to places like that where they might happen. I tend to not like the bigger the city, the more I stay away from it.
I'm with you. And, and I guess the other thing is that it to some degree, it may be unavoidable. And if you end up in the middle of something like that, you know, turn around and get away. And it doesn't mean, turn your back to the danger and run away. But, again, what's out of place and plan an exit from it so you don't end up in the middle of the mob.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can get away, get away. All right. Well, hey, we don't want to stab a dead horse here. So, I know that's an old country saying, don't stab a dead horse. All right. Well, good analysis. Before you sign off, though, please tell people how they can find out more about you.
You can find me actually at shootingclasses.com with my training company, 1791 Training. And I do training with Ohio lethal force law, self-defense law, Ohio concealed carry law, and even probably later this year at some point, I am going to start doing certain types of seminars towards church security groups and the legalities behind that with a couple of the changes in Ohio law. So you can find me there on shootingclasses.com.
All right. And just for the sake of our listeners, who has the best football team, Ohio or Michigan?
Oh, yeah, don't get me started on that one.
All right. Okay. Actually, I don't even watch football.
I gave up. Even college football is no fun anymore. I gave up on it years and years ago, unfortunately.
All righty. Okay. All right. Well, Deron, thank you very much for being on Home Defense Show today. We appreciate it.
Fun as always. Thank you, Skip. Have a great one.
All right, folks. That about wraps it up for this week's show. I've had a good time, and I hope you have too. Please don't forget to thank our sponsor, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range at centershotgunrange.com, shootingclasses.com to help you find the right trainer for your needs, Apple Tree Media for website security, and the United States Concealed Carry Association. For all your self-defense needs, go to uscca.com. All right, I've written 20 plus books, and they're all available on amazon.com in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. This week, check out my book, The God Virus. It's a 4-book series about the end of the world as we know it. And also check out the Home Defense Show videos on rumble.com. And if you want training from me in person, then check out Midwest Tactical Training at shootingclasses.com. Please join us again next week for all your home defense needs. In the meantime, God bless and stay safe.